Good morning everybody, I hope you're all well. My name is Harriett and I will be taking you through this nice and quick, easy breezy 30-minute flow this morning. As ever, if there's anybody working with an injury, if there's a condition in the body that I should be aware of, please do pop me a note into the chat section and I can keep my virtual eyes on you. So when you're ready, let's start in a child's pose. So this morning you might want to find a little bit more of a hip opener. In that case, take your knees out a little bit wider. If you want to work into the lower back, I find that keeping your knees a little bit closer together can help. Any discomfort to the inner knees, I'm very enthusiastic about knees this morning, do be mindful that there's no pulling. Find your sweet spot. It's going to look different to what I'm doing, what we're all doing collectively. So getting yourself down, just take a moment to have a bit of a wiggle round and let yourself settle into stillness. Olivia, I've just seen your message. I'm frozen as well, so don't you worry. I kept moving pretty quick. So taking your attention into the body and into your breath this morning. And just notice, how am I doing? How am I feeling? We spend so much of our life asking everybody else how they are, but very rarely do we stop and really take stock of how we're doing, how our body feels. And does it feel good to be in your body today? Did you sleep well? Have you been doing, beautiful yoga and movement practices that are making you feel great in your body? Or are you feeling a bit tired? Have you been overdoing things? Have you maybe not been carving out enough time to nurture your mind and nurture your body? So there's no judgment attached to feeling really good or feeling less than great, but we're just observing and using the next 30 minutes to really cultivate a relationship with ourselves, with our mind and with our body, and seeing if we can take ourselves out of the mindset of doing and achieving and striving, and instead seeing if we can learn how to experience what it is that we're going through. And experience how it feels to move the body, being less worried about the end point or achieving a certain goal, whether that's fitness related or aesthetic, and instead learning how can I start to really start exploring the joy of movement, the joy of being in my able body. And on that note, we'll start to breathe a little bit deeper. And as you do that, as you start to tune into the breath, let every inhalation be met by a really soft and receptive belly. So there's no holding, there's no sucking in. We're enjoying the experience of allowing that breath to really deeply nourish and really deeply expand the space that we have available in the body. Take a final breath in here, just feeling into your body, feeling into your anatomy, and then let's start to move. So here we're going to come straight into our all fours position. If you've been to a couple of my classes, you know I love a wiggly hip. So that's exactly where we're starting. Start to close down the eyes if that feels good, and just move in a way that feels really supportive to your body. If there's any bits of tension and tightness, start to move into those places. If the body's feeling really good, of course, just start to wiggle round and notice what's going on. Breathing in, breathing out. Let's start to take this wiggly business into something a little bit more formal, coming into a few rounds of cat and cow. So as you inhale, let your belly button soft, gaze up towards the ceiling. Exhale, arch and round, dome through the back. This time we tug the toes, we float the hips all the way up and back for downward dog, only for a moment, before we come back down to the floor. So as you inhale, belly button softens down. Exhale, arch and round, dome through the back. Tuck those toes, lift those hips, high to the sky, downward dog. You've got 3 more of these. Now, invitation here to move in your own rhythm. If you're moving with me, cool, but if you're working with a slightly different breath pattern, if your body needs a little bit longer, or maybe you've had a couple of coffees and you're moving super duper quick, go for it. This is your yoga practice, it's your body. When you've finished your final one, we'll meet in a downward dog, but take your time. If there's a sticky bit of tissue that needs a little bit more easing out, feel free to linger a little bit longer. And when you're ready, downward facing dog. Feel free to keep the wiggly business going. Have a little wiggle of those ankles actually, the kind of uncelebrated part of our anatomy in our downward dog. And then everybody just pop those heels off the floor. Controversial, I know, but let's not freak out our hamstrings. It is the weekend after all. Bend those knees. Can you drift the hips a little bit higher? And keep a sense of buoyancy in the heels, but start to gently drop them down to the floor. Keep your hands pushing the floor away here. So we're not hanging out in our shoulder joint. We're being really supportive to the upper body. And here we go, tiptoe yourself forward. I always thought I did this very elegantly until I watched myself do it on YouTube. So stumble your way to the top of your mat. Take your feet hip distance apart, bend your knees, belly to thighs. This is a stinger for your hamstrings. Bring your forearms onto your thighs, no stretch, no stress. Otherwise, take hold of opposite elbows. Take a sway from side to side. Let that chin drop down. If you're tight in the hamstrings, the action of taking your chin towards your chest is going to be very, very difficult because your body's going to freak out that your hamstrings aren't going to be able to get you back up to standing. So rather than locking the body into panic, just keep lifting the chin and dropping it down, moving into your edge. Big breaths in, big breaths out. Here we go. Let's release the fingertips to the floor. Chin tucks towards the chest. Slowly start to unfurl all the way back up to standing. When you get there, roll the shoulders, soften into the knees. Option here, turn the palms to your front of the room or bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your chest. So re-soften those knees for me. So there's really minimal effort in the way that we're holding the body rather than trying to fix ourselves into certain alignments, certain shapes. Just let your anatomy fall into its natural alignment. We get very worried about optimizing the body and biohacking and trying to improve ourselves, but you are exactly as you need to be. Keep softening into those knees. Just notice if you've got a tendency to lock out. How does it feel to be in your body? If you're finding a little bit of movement side to side, forwards and back, I like that. It's very calming for the nervous system. Have a go. If you like it, stick with it. If you don't, disregard. And wherever you are, I know it's cheesy, but let's just invite a gentle upturn of the lips. As you do that, just notice what happens to the mind, what happens to the body when we invite a smile. It looks cheesy, yeah, I get that, but we're also hitting the vagus nerve, your brain, your gut axis, inviting yourself into parasympathetic rest and digest. So now you've got a nice little something to add to your well-being toolkit. It's free, it's easy. Just blink open those eyes. Big breath in, float your hands up towards the ceiling. Exhale, folding down, place your fingertips to the floor. Inhale, your version of a halfway lift, whatever that looks like in your body. Exhale, nose drops down towards the knees. 2 more times. Inhale, big float up, reach your hands high. Give your glutes a bit of a squeeze when we get to the top. Exhale, come down to the ground, hands to your mat. Inhale, your version of a halfway lift. Feel free to keep the wiggly business going. Exhale, dropping it all the way back down. Final one, make it big, make it juicy. Inhale, floating high, gaze up towards your thumbs. Exhale, folding down, fingertips to the floor. Inhale, your version of a halfway lift. As you exhale, left foot steps way back. Drop your left knee to the ground. Start to float your fingertips up towards the ceiling. Hook your thumbs, squeezing your shoulders up around at your ears. Start to drag the biceps back behind you. If, like me, your knee is overshooting your ankle, you're more flexible than you think you are. So take this pose in your own time. Keep exploring it, just softening in. When you find that real sort of hip flexor stretch, just linger a little bit longer there. Big breath in. Can we take those hands high towards the ceiling? Exhale, both hands come down, framing that right foot. Tuck your left toes, sweep your right leg all the way up and back. 3-legged dog. Bend your knee, open up through the hip. Shine your kneecap to the ceiling. Exhale, step your right foot between the thumbs, picking up your left heel, reach yourself into your high lunge. If you're wobbling over a bit, that's fine. Take a moment, find your version of the pose. Hook your thumbs, squeeze those shoulders up around the ears, drag your body back. So you're finding that lift of the shoulders as the biceps come way back behind you. Imagining you've got a magnet on your breastbone, there's a magnet on the ceiling. They're trying to connect with each other. Exhale, both hands come down, frame your right foot. Step it back to your high plank pose, top of a push-up. Then everybody will take it easy. Pop those knees down to the ground. Untuck the toes. I'd like you all to find a kind of mushroom shape in the upper back. Notice if your heads drop down, can you keep the head and neck a little bit more buoyant? As you exhale, slowly drop down through the chest and the chin. Inhale, pull through to a low cobra. Let your feet widen ever so slightly so there's no tension into that lower back. Give me a little bit of a squish down with the pubic bone, engagement with the glutes, and then wrap your elbows towards each other. Big inhale here, taking your chest even higher off the ground. Exhale, nose drops down towards the floor. 2 more times. Inhale, floating up, finding your version of the pose. Exhale, dropping it back down. Final one. Inhale to flow up. Option, stay where you are. Option 2, interlace the hands behind your back. Send your fist towards your heels and imagine I've got hold of your hands and I'm lifting them up towards the ceiling. So as you take your hands up, you might be able to squeeze your shoulder blades together a little bit more. Find a little bit more height, a little bit more space. Let's hold for 3, 2, keep breathing, and 1. Release. Hands to the ground, tuck those toes, floating your hips, downward facing dog. Have a wiggle out here, bend those knees, sending your hips way back behind you. Again, let's just take some of the effort out of this pose. Pop those heels off the ground, bend your knees. See if you can lift your tailbone higher and then really push the floor away. So less effort in the lower body, but really finding our strength, finding our support to the upper body. When you're ready, come high on your toes. Bend your knees, hop, step, jump, float forwards to the top of your mat. Inhale to a halfway lift. Exhale, folding down. Can you squish your nose to your knees? Big breath in, reach your hands high to the sky. Glutes are switched on, fingertips reach. Can you look up towards your thumbnail? Exhale, fingertips come down to the ground. Inhale, your version of a halfway lift. And as you exhale, big step back with your right foot. Drop that right knee down to the ground. And as you inhale, reaching your hands high, hook your thumbs. Squeezing shoulders up around the ears and then start to drag them way back. If you look in my body here, I'm more flexible than I think I am. Bad news. So I got to go a little bit deeper into this. Rather than trying to force myself into stillness, into the maximum sensation of this pose, I just like to take a little bit of a wiggle. So I'm just testing the water here, finding my limit of flexibility this morning. Squeeze those shoulders a little higher. Drag the biceps even further back. Breastbone reaching up towards the ceiling. Final moment here. Let's release. Fingertips frame your left foot. Tuck your right toes. Lift your hips. Sweep that left leg all the way up and back behind you. Bend the knee, open up through the hip, shining that kneecap up towards the ceiling. Step your left foot between the thumbs. Picking up your right heel, let's start to reach your fingertips up towards the ceiling. Stack that left knee over that left ankle, hook the thumbs, shoulders squeeze up, and then you drag your body back. Lovely, inhale. Can you find a little bit more push? So this is all coming from your lats. Squeeze those arms way back behind the head. Shake out that neck for me. Final breath in here. Exhale, hands come down, framing that left foot. Step back to your high plank pose, top of a push-up. And because it's Saturday, let's pop those knees down. Everybody find that mushroom shape for me. Notice if your head and neck's disconnected from the rest of you. Find a little bit more push through the floor. Imagine I'm behind you and I am pulling your ears up towards the ceiling. Sounds less nurturing than I hoped it would, but we're finding those neck flexors. I also want you to take a quick look at your hands. If you're rolling onto the outside edges of your feet, so the little finger, I want you to really actively push now into your index finger knuckle. Find that mushroom shape. We're still here, I'm afraid. Keep breathing. Inhaling. Exhale. Olivia, you should be feeling warmer now. And as you exhale, let's bend those elbows. Drop down through the chest and the chin. Inhale, pulling through to your version of a back bend. Exhale, let's take a breather, child's pose. Toes to touch, knees as wide as you like. Let your forehead come to the floor. Take a little bit of a wiggle out here, shaking through the hips. or feel free to find complete stillness. It's entirely up to you. Breathing in, breathing out. How does it feel to be in your body now? In your own time, let's make it back to our downward dog. Plant those hands, tuck your toes, lift those hips. Shake out through the body, settling yourself into your downward facing dog. Let's go, right leg lifts. Three-legged dog, inhaling here, exhale. Let's drive that right knee towards your nose. Refine that mushroom shape in the upper back. Push into the index finger knuckle. Then reach it all the way back behind you, three-legged dog. Exhale, right knee to the left elbow. Take a twist. Feel this squeeze from the obliques. Pull up, pull up, pull up. Then take it way back behind you. Inhaling here. Exhale, right knee to the right elbow. Hover. Bring the shoulders over your wrists. Pick up that right thigh. Then sweep it all the way up and back behind you. Take your right foot between the thumbs, picking up your left heel, float your fingertips high to the sky. We're into our high lunge. Exhale, dial back, heel down. We'll open up to warrior two. Take a moment here to do whatever feels good. So it might be a little hoik of the leggings, sorting out the hairstyle, and then reach your arms out wide. If there's any tension in the shoulders, give them a little bit of a wiggle. You don't have to find stillness straight off the back. Find the pose that works for your body this morning. Breathing in, breathing out. Let's reach forward. Flip that front palm. Exhale, reversing the warrior. Keep that right knee moving forward as your right hand drifts back, back, back. Inhale, let's straighten that right leg. Option here, toe heel that left foot a little bit closer in. Send your left hip to the back of your room. Right hand comes onto your right shin. Float that left hand high. We're into triangle pose. Everybody give me a little bit more oomph to the outside edge of that left foot. So the back foot. As you do that, you'll feel it more in the hip. Then let's start to play around. Drift your hips forward. Can you get your shoulders a little bit further back? Oh yeah. And then we start to rotate breastbone up towards the ceiling. If this is too much in your neck, I want you to take your gaze down to the floor. Absolutely no problem with me. Big breath in. Big breath out. When you're ready, bend your right knee. Bring yourself back to your warrior two. Take your left hand down towards the floor. Pick up that left heel. Reach yourself up into your high lunge. Big breath in here. Exhale, left hand forward, right hand back, coming into a twist. Get really, really low in the legs. Take your arms out wider and release. Inhale, come back to center. Straighten both legs, reaching your arms all the way up to the ceiling. Exhale, we twist again. Left hand forward, right hand back. Can you take your gaze to your right thumbnail? Feel how that starts to really ramp up the work. Inhale, straighten the legs, reaching your hands high. Final time. Left hand forward, right hand back. Gaze over towards your right thumbnail. Feel the wiggles. Keep breathing here. And release. Reach both hands high to the sky. As you exhale, let's tip forward. Warrior three. Picking up that left leg, your hands can come to heart center, to the wall or piece of furniture near you. Hands to hips or float them out. Completely up to you. Let's stay here for 3, 2, release left foot to meet your right foot on 1. No rest for the wicked, I'm afraid. Let's sink those hips down. Float your hands high if this is too much work into your low back. Hands to the hips, no stress. Wherever you are, I want those knees back over the ankles. Hello glutes. Pausing here, sit down a little bit deeper. We're going to pause here for 3, 2, release on 1. Hands to the floor. Inhale, your version of a halfway lift. Optional vinyasa or meet me in downward dog. Hop, step, jump, float back. High plank to a low plank. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, take it back. Downward facing dog, and it's 30-minute flow, so let's go straight into the second side. Left leg reaches up and back behind you. Bend your knee, open up through the hip. Here we go. Take that knee forward, squeeze it towards your nose, and release. Take that left knee high. Exhale, twist, left knee to the right elbow, hover. Feel that twist in the obliques. Send that left leg all the way up and back behind you. Exhale, left knee to that left elbow. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Shoulders over wrists. And release. Take that left knee high to the sky. Step that left foot between the thumbs, picking up your right heel, reaching your hands high. Find yourself into your high lunge. Take a moment. Whoo, yoga and talking. It's difficult today. Exhale, dial your back heel down, open out warrior two, and take a moment to just ease into those shoulders, ease into the hips, and make sure you're keeping that knee joint safe, knee over ankle. Here we go, let's reach forward, flipping that front palm. Exhale, take it back, reverse warrior. I want you to imagine that I am with you in the room. I've got my hands behind that left kneecap and I'm pulling it forward. So I'm making sure that you're anchoring knee over ankle. Lean yourself a little bit further back now. Big breath in, big breath out. Lovely. Inhale, bring yourself back to warrior two as you straighten that left leg. Option here to take your right foot a little bit closer in. Sassy that right hip to the side, left hand onto your left shin. Reach your right hand high if that feels good, otherwise it's on the hip. Big breath in here as you exhale, finding triangle. Maybe seeing if you can rotate through the rib cage. If that causes you irritation into your lower back, really take it easy here. No need to push yourself anywhere that doesn't feel good. Gaze up towards your right thumb or you can let it go completely. Big breath in. Big breath out, gaze to the floor. Bend that left knee, bring yourself back to your warrior two. Take your arms out wide, settle them down. Drop that right hand down to the floor, picking up your right heel, finding yourself into your high lunge. As you exhale, take your right hand forward, left hand back. Look towards your left thumbnail. Inhale, straighten the legs, reaching your hands high, going with the wobbles. Exhale, right hand forward, left hand back, take your twist. And again, inhale, big stretch up, woo, reaching your hands high. Exhale, right hand forward, left hand back, take your gaze towards your left thumbnail. Feel that support through the glutes. Bring yourself all the way back to center. This time, launch it forward, warrior three. Hands can go wherever you fancy, I don't mind. Find your version of the pose. If, like me, you're wiggling all over the place, just go with it. Notice that really cross voice in your head that comes when you can't balance on one leg. Notice how ridiculous that is, and then release the expectation of doing anything other than what you're doing perfectly. Pausing here we go. Let's step that right foot to meet the left foot. Sink those hips, chair pose, whatever chair pose looks like in your body. Find it and then drag those knees back over the ankles. Can we sink those hips a little bit lower? Big breath in. Let's pause here for 5, 4, 3, release 2, forward fold on 1. There we go. Have a little bit of a wiggle out here. Make sure that your toes, your feet are hip distance apart. Bend your knees so that you can get your abdomen connected to your thigh. Your 2 peace fingers hook around your big toes. As you inhale, find a kind of halfway lift vibe. Elbows flare to the side. And then give me a little bit of pull down here. So you're using the strength of your biceps to get your torso a little bit lower. If you're somebody who's got a little bit more space in the hamstrings, I really want you to find that connection of your abdomen to your thighs, and instead of locking out the knees, so really ramming into your knee joint, can you instead think about tilting your tailbone? So hopefully you'll feel that right at the attachment, and it won't be so sexy, it won't look as sort of dramatic, but it's much more appropriate for the gentle ligaments around the back of the knee. So have a little play around here. If you like what I'm cueing, go for it. If you don't, feel free to find your own version of the pose. Final breath in here. Exhale, release your hands to the floor. Toe heel your feet a little bit wider. Toes out, heels in. Sink your hips to the floor, squat pose. Whew. Bring your hands to heart center. Take a little bit of a wiggle round. Breathing in, breathing out. If you're a little bit more flexible in the hips, find yourself in stillness. If this is a challenge for you, pop those heels off the ground and keep the body moving. So I mentioned this a couple of times in the brief time we've had together this morning. Yoga, yeah, we want to be able to make these shapes, but we don't want to stress the body. We've got enough of that going on to worry about a hip opener. So just find yourself ever so slightly towards the maximum and then just take the foot off the gas. We're not here to cause chaos in the body, to really ramp up the adrenaline and put our nervous system out of whack. We're just finding what space is available. So make your life easier. There's no destination to this yoga practice. It's all about how it feels in the moment. Here we go, in a way that makes sense to you. Take your hips to the ground. Bring the soles of feet together. Let your knees flop out to the side. If you're feeling a little bit crunchy in the hips today, just take a little bit of a butterfly styly. And then everybody, let's fold forwards. Let your chin be super duper heavy. Wiggle it round. Breathing in and breathing out. As you inhale, bring yourself back into center. Two options for you today. If you'd like to take a shavasana, go ahead and lie your body to the floor. Or if you would like to kind of keep the energy buoyant, or just stay with the energy that you've created in this upright position for a little bit longer, I'm giving you the option today to come into a few moments of meditation, sat exactly as you are. So you choose where you want to be, get yourself comfortable, and close the eyes. Of course, if there's any final poses or fidgets or wiggles that your body is really asking you for, please take the time to go ahead and do this. Take me off volume, turn me down, and you can spend the rest of the morning stretching and meditating. Or if you're with me, let's close the eyes and I will give you about 2 minutes here to tune in. Come back to the breath. Come back to the body. Let's start to breathe a bit deeper now. Bringing some movement perhaps back into fingers, wiggling toes. If you've remained in a seated meditation, I'd like you to find a little bit of wiggly business in the upper body, maybe taking some circles with the ribs, or maybe dropping the chin from one collarbone to the other. Breathing in. Breathing out. If you're down on the ground or if you sat up like me, let's take a big sweep of the fingertips all the way up over the head, interlace the fingertips, and then push your shoulders up around the ears. Drag the biceps back behind you. Feel that stretch. If it feels good to stay still with this, keep with it. Or if you want to move, you've always got the option. If you're down on the ground or your knees in towards your chest, give yourself a little hug, squeeze, and a rock and roll. And in a way that makes sense to you, your body, and your energy levels, come and meet me in a comfortable cross-leg position. Your hands land wherever feels good. If you like to close your eyes to finish the practice, go for it. Otherwise, soft gaze in front of you. And taking a moment here to allow yourself to arrive back into the body. Arrive back with the breath. We move pretty fast during those past 30 minutes, so just allow your breath to settle. And take a moment to notice, how does it feel to be in my body now? If there's any area that still feels a little bit tight and tense, feel free to keep the movement going and incorporate that sense of ease and fluidity in the body for the whole of the rest of the day. For our final collective breath together as we inhale, gathering up any tension that we don't want to take with us for the rest of today. And as you exhale, let it go. Upturn the lips, stick a smile on your face, and have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Harriett. I will be teaching this class next week as well, so that is Saturday at 10 o'clock. If you would like to practice with me during the week, I'm running a couple of my own classes, so you can find me on Instagram, and I hope to see you in real life when the time is right. Thanks so much. Any questions, do let me know. If not, have a wonderful rest of your day. Oh, thanks, Isabel. Thank you for that lovely comment. And hello, Harriett. Great name. Nice to see you virtually again. Olivia, I hope you've warmed up a bit. Oh, thanks, Isabel. Take care. Have a lovely weekend. Me too. Need to get some gloves. It's bloody cold, isn't it? Thanks, Harriet. Oh, thanks, Tanya. Take care. Hello, Alice. Thank you, Jane. Lovely to have you in. Jess, happy Saturday. Have a good one. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.